Listen.
Don't.
So today we're going to talk about the Mount Rushmore of the greatest hip hop producer rapper of all time. Now you can match them up, but a Mount Rushmore is usually 4 people. You can name them in order who's better than who. And I'm going to name some names, and you guys can put your own names in there. But there's Dr. Dre, who doesn't write. A lot of these producer rappers don't write their own stuff most of the time, but it doesn't matter because they're more producer than rapper. But you have Dr. Dre, you have Kanye West, you have the RZA. You also have give me some more guys. You have Jay Dilla, you have Pete Rock, Q-Tip also. I think Q-Tip is more of an MC than a producer, but he's produced for other people. The criteria is not that you could just rap and make your own beats like a J. Cole or Eminem, but you have to primarily be a producer who also raps. Who's the best of the bunch? Andre White. What do you feel? Who's the best producer rapper of all time?
All right, well,
Top 4.
To me myself, speaking only for me, I gotta go with Kanye.
Okay.
The consistent evolution into groundbreaking territory from that first album to the second album to the third album. Some may feel like we lost him a little bit with them fourth and the 808s. But not only that, his ability to continuously to grow but bring other people with him. Like he made Pusha T a commercial relevant MC. He put Lupe on. He put Sean on. He gave Common a whole new second life of a career with the work he did with Common. His work on R&B with hip hop. Like Kanye has shown versatility. He's shown growth. To come from out of that Rockefeller umbrella into creating his own with good music is impressive. Usually you don't see an MC or a rapper rather put another rapper on and then that rapper become equal or greater than the person that put him on.
So
became the teacher.
Are we going to discredit what Dr. Dre has done with Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Eminem, The Game, and later on in this Kendrick Lamar? Are we not going to add?
It's not a discredit, but to me, you named a bunch of people that had 1 or 2 good albums.
Because of Dr. Dre. 1 or 2 good albums. Maybe 50 Cent had 2. I think every album The Game has been a good album. Eminem has had multiple good albums. Kendrick Lamar has had classic albums.
Where was Common when he did B? Coming off of Electric Circus, correct?
Wait a minute. Electric Circus was a creative record, but before that, he had like Water for Chocolate, who most people believe that's Common's best record ever.
His best album, yeah.
Nah, kind of like B a little bit more.
You like it a little bit more because your perspective is somewhat limited musicality.
Wow, you just called me stupid very creatively. Okay, hold on. We're not going to do that. But again, you're talking about Kanye, who gets to Rockefeller when they are already existing and arguably gives Jay-Z some of his best material. There are very few producers who can bring the best out of the best the way Kanye can Jay-Z. So let's keep that in mind.
Okay, what about Just Blaze on that album that was giving him the other half of that record? I might have went with Just Blaze's records a little bit more. I don't know. Just Blaze.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did the hits come from? Where did the hits come from?
What name the hits?
Well, you got H to the Izzo to start, and it's pushing the biggest part of that. Okay. What was that Blueprint album? Is the Kanye beats. But then again, really? Kanye came out on his own. Dre only gave you the Chronic.
Chronic 2001.
Yeah, we're gonna pretend the Aftermath album didn't exist.
Yes.
Wow. All right, so we're curving the grade. Cool. Kanye came out with 3 different sounding but equally great albums. How many other producers / rappers can say that?
You make a good point with Kanye West. I mean, Kanye's bars, even though he doesn't write everything himself, I do enjoy his rap style, especially on College Dropout. What was that? That was the first one. The second one was what? Graduate. The third one was Graduation. Late registration. Those are 3 back-to-back classic albums that I can't disagree with. He did change Common's career around. He brought it back to prominence with B, but I don't feel like Common would slip that much. And I feel like Electric Circus is kind of overlooked when I listen to it with my new ears. Maybe in real time.
Yeah, in real time,
this is weird. Yeah. When I look at it now, though, it's not really a whack album when I hear it now. It's not a whack album. But
no, I think Electric Circus was surrounded by the people that were working on that album and the other work they were doing at that same time. So you figure he's working with the Soulquarians, they got Erykah Badu humming, they got D'Angelo going. They have this whole thing of putting out great music, and Electric Circus just happened to be the worst of a group of great albums.
B was a great album, but I don't believe that it was Common's best work. I think like Water for
No,
Chocolate
it
was
wasn't.
probably Common's best. Jam, I'm gonna go to you. The best rapper producer ever. What do you think about Kanye? The pick of Kanye, my pick of Dre. And I'm not sure. I might actually go with Kanye. I might actually agree with you again, but I'm on the fence here because Dr. Dre put a lot of people on and elevated their careers. So I don't know.
Dr. Dre did a lot, man. He did so much, you know, starting with NWA, then the DOC, then Michelle A, then Snoop. It was a whole slew of West Coast artists that he put on.
Ice Cube was
He changed the whole sound of hip hop for a moment. You know what I mean? And he stayed relevant throughout the years. He even did some bangers for Kendrick Lamar. But I'm leaning towards Kanye.
Okay.
Because Kanye's longevity, like he had a whole, like, I don't know, like over like probably almost 20 years now. Just, you know, he's so revered as this great producer. I don't know. It's kind of weird because he didn't really put too many people on and make a lot of and produce a lot of number ones the way Dr. Dre did.
You don't think Kanye has a lot of number ones?
Compared to Dr. Dre, I don't think so. I don't think he produced a whole lot of hit records outside of his own.
I disagree, but I got to go to the Google.
I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm just off the top, just thinking about it. I didn't look it up or anything. I could be wrong, but I think
rhyme-wise, Kanye's was more of an artist though
than Kanye.
Dre kind of was like in the background rapping sometimes and stuff written by Jay. That was really dope, and I like his hip hop approach. But Kanye, he was like the everyman rapping. So, and he gave me something really new to listen to in that era where I was thinking like, damn, you know, I don't know if I like some things that's coming out of hip hop right now. Kanye West kind of turned that around for me. Slangston, what do you feel about who's your top four? Who's the number one guy in that position? What do you think about Kanye versus Dr. Dre situation? This nigga just gets up and leave again. How dirty is this guy's beard? That's what I'm saying. Alpha, the OG of Pans, Alpha Omega beard grooming kit. God damn. Get you one.
So my criteria is a little different. And so the way I look at it is if we're looking at the producers who also rap, how good are they at both? And so I have a Mount Rushmore, and then I have some caveats, some honorable mentions even. Like for me, Q-Tip, if we were just looking at like a good rapper who's also a really good producer, Q-Tip might be number one, but he's not primarily known as a producer, even though he's produced just as much as a lot of producers and done some amazing stuff. So, but he's not primarily, I couldn't say he's primarily a producer. So Q-Tip isn't really qualified for the Mount Rushmore, in my opinion.
Okay.
Large Professor, I would say, is an honorable mention. Look at the main source stuff and even his solo album, like he definitely was rapping. Timbaland rapped some, but I would say none of those are in the top four. The honorable mentions, I mean, the Mount Rushmore for me is based off of how great were your production and were you also really solid as an MC.
Okay, all right.
And so I would say the top four and in ranking order, and also for me, this is my criteria. If you did not write like any of your bars ever, that you're disqualified as far as I'm concerned. Because you rapped words, but you weren't an MC and a producer. You also rapped stuff those people go through for you. I don't think Dr. Dre's actually ever written a verse. Maybe back in the NWA days, but that was probably a lot of MC Ren and Ice Cube right now.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, so for me, he does not qualify for this criteria. So for me, number 4, Havoc, Mobb Deep. Because he's mostly known as a rapper from Mobb Deep, but past the Mobb Deep era, he's actually known more in the industry as a producer.
Facts.
And a really good producer. Like he created a lot of that East Coast sound of like the early 2000s. Like he produced a lot of records people don't even know. Like he produced Why for Did This. Like that's Havoc. 3, I would say Jay Dilla. You know, one of the greatest producers, but also very solid as an MC. And really, some people say Dill is the best MC / producer. I won't put him that high, but he's really good at, because he has a producer there, he's really good at tailoring verses to the beat in a way that most MCs wouldn't think to do. It's really creative how he raps on his own beats. Second, I would say Kanye. Kanye probably has had more ghost producers than he's actually had ghost writers. Once you get past Late Registration, and you're talking about the pivotal Kanye production that he did on those early records and the Jay-Z records and the Ludacris records and so on and so forth. Hits upon hits, like incredible production. Like he definitely shifted the sound and brought it back to a more soulful sound, but also like added more updated stuff relevant with that era. So production wise, but where he really gets slept on in those so-called old Kanye, those classics, is his writing. Like he wasn't doing like Rakim level stuff, but he was doing some amazing writing for someone who was mostly known as a producer.
Yeah,
writing some
I
amazing
like
songs.
Kanye as a writer, man. I think Kanye is great as a rapper and a writer. I was sleeping on him at first, but
he was always really underrated in that respect. But like he really was pushing himself early on as a writer as much as he was as a producer. So he was very even. Like, and in a lot of ways, people who are really great lyricists don't have the same sensibilities that someone who's building a whole song sonically does. And Kanye really had that kind of ear too, kind of like almost like an advanced version of what Dilla was doing writing wise.
Yeah, I think Kanye.
One second. Vic, who was your number one?
So my number one, this is one people sleeps on, but he fits this criteria more than any of the others, in my opinion. And I think that he does both at the highest level at the same time, for an extended period of an era where he dominated and where his crew dominated. And for me, that's the RZA. The RZA is known primarily as the architect of the Wu-Tang sound. But the RZA is a phenomenal MC as well. Like, you're talking about lyrically, like talking about that Wu-Tang style where you're picking scientific words and concepts and you're putting them together. Honestly, he's one of the most lyrical out of the Wu-Tang. But that always got overshadowed because of how prominent he was on the sound side of things. And so, he brought a whole new sound to hip hop that was never heard before. So a lot of times that's what he gets talked about the most for. But you just go back and listen to RZA verses on Triumph, on Fourth Chamber, on his solo albums. Like lyrically, he was going off on a level as high as any of the most lauded lyricists of the time.
I would take Kanye over RZA though, because of Kanye's ability to be in tune with the music as he's rapping, and the RZA kind of like rapping over the break of the beat with a lot of spit, with a lot of spit in his mouth.
The on-off style.
It's a lot of he orders extra saliva on every verse. He has a cup of saliva sitting there when he's sitting with the mic. He should spit.
Yeah. The gold, the fronts, and all of that he was wearing at the time.
But he's great, and how you architect. He was the architect of the Wu-Tang sound. That was a great point.
And if you listen to RZA's sound, you listen to Kanye's sound. There would be no Kanye without RZA. Like a lot of what Kanye was doing later on, he got that from RZA. He was just doing it in a way where he was taking parts of the record that was the soulful part and then, putting drums under it versus
I'm a sucker for soul music, so
RZA was using the same kind of samples, but he was purposely using the really gritty bottom parts of the sound.
Yeah, different approaches. Jam, who's your top four before I go to Dre? Let's see who the Mount Rushmores are. Then we can debate
my top
from that.
Four?
Yeah.
Let me think on it.
Okay, Dre, I'll come back to you, Dre. Who's you have Kanye at number one.
I do, but this gentleman's argument for the RZA makes me feel like I really should put the RZA at two. Like,
okay, all right.
That the impact to create a signature sound for an entire crew of totally different MCs. Like, not only are you making them all sound similar, but like Jizza and Meth don't have similar styles at all. And Ghost is all the way in left field, but you're making them all blend into one flow and one cohesive sound. That's really impressive, dog.
Could you move RZA to number one spot? What keeps Kanye in the number one spot for you over the RZA? Is it the rhyme?
No, I would never call Kanye a better MC. I just think he makes better albums.
Better albums, and I can't disagree with that. Who's
I feel like the RZA's solo work, although some of it is great, he's a much greater producer than a rapper. And I feel like with Kanye, the quality of his product makes it a little bit more of an even on both sides of the field type thing. A little bit, not by much, because the RZA is a superior MC.
Who was number two, and before you moved the RZA into your number two position?
I had Dre, but then he made the argument that Dre really shouldn't be on this list, which is very valid because we don't know any Drake. Like Drake outsourced so much of his best work. I don't know the one song Dre work